And if that doesn't work, if baby doesn't scream in terror because here he is being cut off from his air supply, then what do? They pick us up by the heels over an open space, and everybody laughs. And baby's face goes into grimace, and his hands reach out as if to say, "Help me." Imagine if I took you to the top of a tall building and held you over the edge by your heels. Imagine how you too would wriggle and squirm and throw your arms around in this unaccustomed vastness of space. Of course, I forgot. Babies can have no concept of that. What a ridiculous idea. Really? Really? And of course, if that doesn't work, if that doesn't open our lungs, they assault us. Oh, it's just a light tap on the buttocks. That's all. But baby's never experienced anything like that in its life. Can you imagine the shock, the horror, the pain? But of course, babies are insensate. They like bologna sausages. They have no feelings. Right? Isn't that the common wisdom? Mm. Mm. And of course, what have we also been subjected to? Pleasant smells, a little coffee, baking bread, some incense, the smell of flowers. The stench of antiseptic, anesthetic. These are poisons, that's why they work. Been into a hospital? It stinks of these chemicals. Pleasant noise, a little Mozart, a little jazz, some sounds to soothe the soul. Because no doubt mother has played music to us, if she's really one of these up-and-coming mothers and knows what it's about. She's been playing music to us, and now all of a sudden we come into this world of people talking and shouting, and a world that's peopled by green-masked monsters. Not too much humanity. Perhaps it's small wonder that some of us decide to leave immediately. And everybody's mystified. But there was nothing wrong with the baby. It just died. Maybe it took one look at this and said, "This is too frightful. This is too terrifying. I am not sure that I want to be here. I'm leaving." So here we are. We've gone through this difficult, painful, and already within the first few minutes, what can only be described as an intensely abusive process. Gets more interesting. Because now that we are covered in blood and shit and slime, we're dirty. This is the very stuff of life. This is the very stuff of life. Now we've got to be cleaned up. Is this changing? Yes, it is a bit. There are changes. But in my experience, not nearly enough. Not nearly fast enough. And if one goes into the great baby factories around the world today, this process is still being followed. Still being followed. We get rushed off to the back to be cleaned up. And we get immersed in what we laughingly call water. Opened one of your taps recently? Smelt the sudden burst of chlorine that assails the nostrils? It's a worldwide phenomenon. Chlorine is a very interesting substance. It was a gas that was used to poison people in the First World War. It has a wonderful effect. An uncle of mine was subjected to that because he was well gassed in the trenches in France. And then he spent the next 15 years coughing up bits of his lung until there was no more lung left. And he literally died of asphyxiation. A slow, painful, lingering death. Now, of course, the amount of chlorine the baby gets is not very much, but it's already experienced the searing pain of oxygen, probably one of the most corrosive substances on the planet. It rusts metal. And it's the first thing we take in as we go, there's oxygen. I wonder what that's like. And now we give it a solid dose of belt of chlorine as a chaser. And of course, when you mix chlorine with water, you get hydrochloric acid. Very dilute. Most of you out there swim in it, because that's what we use in our swimming pools. But we know, do not swim in the pool just after you put the chlorine in. That's why there's this huge movement today to create natural pools without the use of the chemicals, because the chemicals are not good. We immerse baby in it. A dilute, very dilute, hydrochloric acid. I wonder what that feels like. Ah, what nonsense, man. Babies have got no feelings. They're totally insensate. Really? If you wish. It gets even more interesting. Because now we have to be dried because we're wet. And what do we use? We use a cloth that has in all likelihood been well washed in detergent. Read your detergent package lately? You would not use it as a face pack because it's not a very friendly substance. Not at all. Go read the package. Now, we all know that detergent makes cloth hard. So what do? We rinse the cloth in fabric softener. We add it to our washing machines so that the cloth comes out all nice and fluffy and soft. Works. Read your fabric softener bottle? Guess what? You would not put it in the stew. You will die, hopefully, a very quick and probably painful death. So here we take baby, just arrived on the planet, with all its senses out there in this extraordinary pace, where so far all it's experienced is pain and discomfort and not much else. Every nerve end on sticking out, as it were, and we wrap baby in poisonous cloths.
And sandpaper.
And sandpaper. Fantastic. I wish it was. I wish it was. No wonder again, it is perhaps small wonder that some of us decide to leave. The sudden infant death syndrome. And everybody is mystified. Because baby was healthy. And now it's dead. Perhaps it's not such a mystery. It could be 10, 15, 30, 40 minutes depending on how busy the nurses are, because they are busy, they have a tough job, before we finally end up back with Mum. And we can hear that sound, the sound that's been our metronome for the whole of our lives, that boom, 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 boom. And then perhaps for the very first time we can feel, I'm home, I'm here, and I'm safe. It's a hell of a welcome. And it really is time that